The
We
council
stand at a
chambers of the
precipice.
Vorith
The
Dominion
threats we face
stretched
demand
across
not just
3
vigilance, but
kilometers of
immediate,
polished
unified
obsidian,
action.
and tonight every seat was filled. Ambassador Kale, 7 stood at the center podium, his 4 luminescent eyes scanning the gathered representatives of 47 civilizations. The agenda was simple: routine border maintenance reports. Boring. Predictable. Then Commander Yara of the Sentinel Fleet interrupted everything. "We have a signal," she announced, her voice cutting through the low hum of alien chatter. "Origin point, the Milky Way galaxy." The chamber went absolutely silent. Every species in the known universe understood one fundamental law above all others: the Milky Way was off-limits. Not because the galaxy was dangerous, not because it lacked resources, but because something lived there. Something the ancient Vorith scanners had detected 7,000 years ago and immediately flagged as unpredictable. The elders had drawn a boundary around the entire galaxy and simply said, "Do not engage." For 7 millennia, nobody had. Until Commander Yara's young lieutenant, Dex 3, had chased a malfunctioning probe directly across that boundary line while nobody was watching. Dex 3 hadn't meant to cross. The probe had drifted, the navigation system had glitched, and suddenly his scout ship was 11 light minutes inside the forbidden zone. He'd immediately killed his engines and sat completely still, praying that whatever lived here wouldn't notice a single small vessel drifting silently through the outer spiral arm. That prayer went unanswered. Unknown vessel. The voice came through on every frequency simultaneously, calm and direct. "You appear to be experiencing navigation difficulties. Do you require assistance?" Dex 3 stared at his communication panel with all 6 of his hands frozen in place. The translation matrix worked perfectly, which was somehow more terrifying than if it hadn't. Whatever was speaking knew his language. Or had learned it. Instantly. Yes, he finally stammered. "Navigation error. I apologize for the intrusion." "No problem at all," the voice replied. "We've actually been watching your civilization's signals for about 300 years. We were starting to wonder if you'd ever say hello. I'm Captain James Cole, United Earth Starship Resolute. Welcome to the neighborhood." When Dex 3 returned to the Dominion with a human diplomat aboard his ship, the council nearly dissolved into chaos. The human's name was Ambassador Michael Torres. He was unremarkable by most physical standards: 2 arms, 2 legs, a single head, but what unnerved the assembled delegates wasn't his appearance. It was his posture. He stood in the center of the chamber with his hands clasped behind his back, surveying 47 alien civilizations watching him with a mixture of fear and fascination, and he looked comfortable. "Thank you for the invitation," Torres said pleasantly, as though he'd been expected. Kale 7 leaned forward. "You understand why your galaxy was quarantined?" "We figured it out eventually," Torres replied. "Your ancestors' scan detected our nuclear tests in the 20th century. Weapons. You assumed we were dangerous. Were you not?" Torres considered this honestly. "Yes. Absolutely. For a while." He paused. "We almost didn't make it, if I'm being truthful. We came within about 11 minutes of ending everything in 1983. But we worked through it." The chamber was silent. "You worked through near extinction?" Kale 7 said slowly. "Several times, actually." Torres smiled in a way that the translation matrix simply described as warm. "It turns out near extinction is a very effective teacher." Over the following weeks, the Dominion Council discovered things about humanity that rewrote every assumption they'd held. Humans had no hive intelligence, no collective consciousness, no guiding elder species. They had argued and fought and failed and rebuilt entirely on their own, and somewhere in that messy, chaotic process they had developed something none of the 47 civilizations possessed: an absolute refusal to accept that a problem was unsolvable. Dar. Rachel Morgan, humanity's lead xenobiologist, casually solved the Vorith plague that had killed millions across 6 worlds in 48 hours. Not because human medicine was superior, but because she refused to accept the established medical consensus when her gut told her it was wrong. Engineer Tom Reeves redesigned the Dominion's failing warp infrastructure in a week, using a theoretical approach every Vorath physicist had dismissed as too simple to work. It worked. Captain Cole's crew negotiated a peace between two civilizations that had been at war for 900 years, primarily by locking their representatives in a room with coffee and refusing to open the door until they talked. Kale, 7 stood before the full council one final time and proposed the amendment that would reshape galactic civilization forever. Remove the quarantine, he said simply. Every problem we considered permanent, they consider temporary. Every wall we accepted, they walk through. He looked around the chamber. We were afraid of what humanity might do to the galaxy. He paused. We never considered what they might do for it. The vote was unanimous. The Milky Way was no longer off limits. It was open for business.